I've had the opportunity to go and do an internship with the Baltimore Ravens, and I tell you what, it was super awesome just seeing this man coach. You talking about energy on the football field, his guys playing hard for him, it was a sight to see. And how calm he was in the meeting room, and his guys were locked in to every single word was a great thing for me to see. I was just a bug on the wall, a fly on the wall, trying to pick up everything I can from this man as he was out there coaching on the football field. Very fun thing to see. He's going to come up here and give you a great presentation. Another great thing about Jerry is he is a former player for North Dakota State. He loved the Bible. And it was a great deal when I came up there. He was like, hey man, I got a Bible brother here, right? I had my ring. I was showing it off a little bit, you know. Of course, he had some rings too, right? He can show them off too. So, and then I had an opportunity to go back again. I went up there twice. So when I came back the second time, he was like, yeah, T, where's that ring at? I said, Jerry, I didn't bring it. We put our ring away. I said, we're getting ready for the season. When the season get ready to start, we focus on that season. We can't worry about the last one. He says, T, I like how you think. Jerry Rosberg, come on up.
Thank you for all that hyperbole. Some of it's accurate. Some of it's not quite. But it is truly an honor to be here. And I had a great pleasure of returning to Fargo, North Dakota in November of last year. A huge thank you to Pat Simmers, Jack Vaughn, and Matt Lee, and the boss, Matt Larson, for setting this up. We got a 40th reunion of our 1977 Bison football team. And some of these guys I hadn't seen since then. It was a remarkable thing. We got to get together and reminisce and have so much fun. But we also got to watch the 2017 version of Bison. What a show they put on. It's so much fun to watch this football team play. My meeting rooms on Saturday morning are filled with guys who are wearing their sweatshirts from their various colleges. Alabama guys, Minnesota guy here, Max Williams, and all these various schools you can imagine. They all got things going on games that day. But nobody got anything on me because they all know at this point in time. They know where I come from. So I'm ribbing all these guys. Like the guy from Iowa. Oh, the guy from Colorado State, he just shakes his head. He's got nothing to say. It's all because of the program that the men here have built. Then we go on and win the national championship. Coach Lyman, thank you for having me here, and congratulations on another national championship. What you have done with this program, I want you to know that all of us Bison from years gone by are so proud of what you have done with this program. And we sit and watch, and we're amazed, and we're happy, and we're joyous on Saturday afternoons when you guys win, and you brought home another championship. So congratulations. Being an assistant coach all my life, I have an appreciation for the staff. It's such a great staff. And I love watching this team play. My favorite play in the game, we were playing South Dakota. I was sitting in the end zone with my buddies. My favorite play of the game was first and goal. And we ran lead. We got stuffed. Second and goal for about 5. We ran lead the other way. We got stuffed. So it's now third and goal, right? So what happens in most college football teams? Not us. So we ran power, just smashed it right in the end zone. That's North Dakota State football. It was a beautiful thing, and I was just, all right, nobody does that anymore. We do. We do. It was great. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Speaking of rings, I've got a story for you. We're in draft games this week, right? Which timed out perfectly, so I'm here with you. So I've been sitting in the meeting room all week long listening to these draft reports. So we get to the linebackers, and the process for the draft readings, or the first thing that happens is one of the junior personnel people reads his numbers. So they go Nick DeLuca, North Dakota State, 6.028, 251. He goes through all his test scores and just lists all his data on this player. And then there's a little bit of pause before it all starts. I said, you know why he weighed 251? He was a little high. Somebody said, why is that? He had all his rings in his pocket. The only guy that laughed was Ozzy. Ozzy's from Alabama, so he appreciates the championship. It's fun to be from North Dakota State at those times of the year. Well, this is where I started my career. I can't imagine what my life would have been like if Ardell Wiegand hadn't wandered into my school that cold winter day in November in 1973. But it's been a good ride. And when I was playing here, it was the most fun I ever had in my life. And I couldn't imagine it having to be over at some point in time. But for all of us, some later than others, for all of us, there comes a point in time when you got to move on and do something else. And I wanted my college career to continue, and the only way to do that was coaching. Perhaps you can relate. To be involved in a football team like I was, it changes your world. It changes your perspective. You're so close to the men in that room, the coaches that coach you and are trying to help you. And I wanted it to keep going. So I made a decision that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, much like many of you all. Because that was the path. And so I started over Shanley High School, which used to be not far from here. You could walk there from here. And I started at Shanley High School. And so I got a job at Shanley and started as a high school coach. What you may not know is the only head coaching job I've ever had in my life was I was the head hockey coach at Shanley High School. I haven't been able to get a head coaching job since then. I think they look back at that Shanley hockey team and just judge me for that performance. But at Shanley High School, there's a story behind that, so I'm out of practice in preseason camp. Now, school hasn't even started, and you all know Shanley High School. So Brother Roger was the principal, and we're out there, and for some reason or other, Bruce Larson put me in charge of the defense. And so I'm coaching the defense, we're in a drill, and Brother Roger walks out there with the robes and the whole nine. He walks right on the practice field, he's got his robe on. And so he walks over to the drill and he says, Jerry, I need to talk to you. It's okay. Oh, I haven't been here very long. He says, our hockey coach just resigned and I'm going to have you be the hockey coach. I said, brother, I said, I'll help out. I played outside in southern Minnesota. I don't know hockey. He said, well, if I can't find somebody else by tomorrow, you're my head coach. I said, okay. So I got the late, great Lou Curry. You may remember Lou, he's my teammate. He played hockey and football in Edina, Minnesota, and then went to Notre Dame to play hockey. And then transferred to North Dakota State and was an All-American center for us. The agreement was Lou was going to be my assistant. And the only way I was going to coach hockey is if Lou could be my assistant. And so the agreement was made, it was great. So I ran the books, Lou ran the practices. Whatever we did, Lou was going to determine all of our hockey design. So here's the story. We make the state tournament. We're up at University of North Dakota, Fighting Sioux Rink. You say that? And at that point in time, it was the state of the art. We had a grease board, white marker board. Didn't have one, but they had one. The hockey rink right there on it. So at the end of the first period, we're just getting smoked. We can't get it out of our own end. But the good news, our goalie played great. We're only down 1-0. So Lou, like he always does, gets up on the board and starts drawing hockey diagrams. And he is coaching as hard as he can. Oh, look, here's what they're running. They're running a reverse diagonal forecheck. Lou, every time you come around when the reverse is there, I can't figure out how to get out. And he's going through all these diagrams. And if we just do this, bump it back, and we'll come out to this, we work this angle, and went through the whole thing. You got it? The buzzer goes, let's go! Yeah! We go out there, we walk up the steps, and Lou elbows me in the side. He says, you think they bought it? I said, what? I have no idea what they're doing. And I said, well, you got me. So we ended up winning the game 3-2. We got beat the next game, but I'm not sure how that relates to coaching football, but that was my first coaching experience. It was right here in Fargo, North Dakota. to Shanley High School, and I'm very fond of all the people that have helped me over the years. Owen more so probably, and a guy by the name of Jim Driscoll. As you may know, Jim Driscoll went to Shanley High School, and Jim Driscoll coached me at North Dakota State, and then after a couple of moves ended up in Northern Michigan. So when I was coaching at Shanley, Jim was in Northern Michigan, and his mentor was also a former North Dakota State great coach, Buck Neisman. So we have Bubba Driscoll and Buck Neisman is kind of the guys that got me started along the path that led me back home. These guys, I owe a great debt of gratitude, but we all have those guys in our lives, right? The guys that kind of get us going and get us started. And I thought it would be fitting that we all understand that all the people that we meet, and the people that we are interacting with on a daily basis, this is a relationship business. And the thing I love most about my job is the people that I get to work with on a daily basis. They have raised me up in all aspects of my life. It started when I played here. And men like this that have allowed me to pursue my path. This is where it all started. When I was at Shanley High School, I used to go out to their summer camps and work the summer high school kids camps. And I really learned how to coach from Coach Buck. I worked the offensive line. I haven't coached it since. But Coach Buck getting them in the chutes. How many of you guys are familiar with Coach Buck? Yeah, some of you understand what I'm saying, and probably more than others. He coaches these little kids like the next day is the Rose Bowl. He's getting these guys ready to play in the Rose Bowl. That's how he attacked his job. And the passion with which he approached his job, he's an interesting, colorful guy, and we've all got a lot of stories. But the passion with which he coached his job really set apart for me what I wanted to do with my life, to try to help these young men be better players. Now you guys are doing that. And I admire you all, and I really appreciate you coming today. So my goal for this experience that we're having together today, my goal is, I'm in the player development business. That's kind of what I do. My job as special teams coordinator is a little bit different than some NFL jobs, in that I'm coaching almost the whole team. Our quarterback is not a holder. Our starting safety is our backup holder. So other than the quarterback, I coach pretty much the whole team. Now, the guys that play the most reps for us are not typically the starters. Now, some of our starters, which y'all understand the roster in the NFL, we have 53 guys, and 46 of them are active on game day. So a lot of the guys that aren't the starters make up the core, what we call the core of the special teams. So my job is to develop players. We take guys that come in as undrafted free agents, as lower round draft picks, sometimes higher draft picks that play a phase or two, or as they're developing into the starting role, and we make them better football players. It is my firm belief that these players, because they go through the gauntlet of special teams, they become better players in their own position. That's my job. So I kind of have a unique perspective on that. And so with that in mind, I have a few items that I think that can perhaps practical advice, a little bit of science, a little bit of personal opinion perhaps, and hopefully be useful to you as coaches and teachers. At the back end of this presentation, a few other things I'm just going to throw out. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. When Randy and Chris asked me to do this, there's so many things I wanted to talk about. And I had to kind of whittle them down, but I got a kind of a running list at the end, and I'm in no hurry. I got nowhere to go. So at the end, we'll ask questions up until practice starts, coach, if we want to. It doesn't matter to me one bit. So that's kind of the plan of things. One of the, as I said, one of the best things that ever happened to me was getting started at Shanley High School. And how many of you guys that are high school coaches have, first of all, I assume that most of us are high school coaches here. Is that true? Most, yeah. Is there any college coaches in the room? Big one, all right, two, three. Is there any NFL teams skunking us today in the room? Okay, so anyway, the point is that most of the guys that we're dealing with here is your teachers. How many high school teachers are in this room? See, look at that. Isn't that great? Most of my best teachers were my coaches. You can probably think back to your moments in high school. Who were your best teachers? My best teachers, Tom Mahoney was my high school coach. He taught government. He was the best teacher in the building, I thought. Joe Burns was a social science teacher, a sophomore. He was a great teacher. You can probably think of your own personal experience and think about who the best teachers were. A lot of times they're coaches. Why is that? It's my belief that the coaches are the best teachers because they individualize the instruction and they're used to being accountable for the results of their teaching. You guys, at the end of the day, everybody's going to watch your students play, and everybody's going to see it. And then there's going to be a score at the end of that, and you're going to win or you're going to lose, and then you're going to be judged by that. We all get that. Professors and other teachers aren't the same. Now, there's some accountability, we all get it, and I understand, but coaches are unique in that regard. So there's, I think, a lot of things that teachers can learn from coaches, but on the other side, there's also a lot of things that we as coaches can learn from teachers, and I'm going to try to bring a few of those things to the fore today. First of all, when we're talking about teaching, the first thing you have to figure out is my classroom set, just like this is today for us. And Jake, are you still in here? Yeah. We're in. So the first thing, I just met Jake today, has been very helpful in getting this thing going. But the first thing I did with Jake when I got here today is come in and look at this setup and get our video ready and our presentation ready. I learned that lesson at Shanley High School a long time ago that first thing you better do is make sure everything's in order and everything works. As you know, those of us that are teachers in this room all remember a moment when the video didn't work, or back in the day the film didn't work, or something wasn't ready to go. So first thing that I do in the morning is I go in the classroom, our classroom, and make sure everything's in order. All the video is working, everything's set up. It sounds like a very simple thing, but you got to prepare the learning environment. The thing I do then is I put a title slide up there on the wall, something that I want them to think about, perhaps this, as they walk in, or something other general that kind of sets the stage for the day. That's really important. And the next thing I do is I stand right at the entrance of the meeting room and I engage them as they walk into the room. So when they come in, I'm this close to, hey, morning, Bert, morning. They walk in, they walk past me, and these guys are coming to the other side, and I found out the names when I'm looking at them. And I engage them as they come into the room. The reason for that is twofold. One is, I want to take their temperature a little bit. I want to find out, okay, what's going on with this young man as he walks in the room today. What's he looking like? You know? Hey, how's your wife? Good. Kids good? Yeah, everybody's fine. All right, good. And just the fact that you can interact with them by just calling out their name across the room sometimes is important. Sometimes you can, boy, they got a haircut. They're looking good. Other times it's like, man, you smell. What have you been doing? I mean, it's that real. So being able to engage them when they walk in the room starts the tempo for the meeting. They know when they walk in the room, there's no place to hide. And they knew that the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. That's where the meeting starts, when they walk in. Now, very rarely do guys meet. And some guys, they come and sit in the room because they want to talk. They're there early. And that's really a good time. Now, as a special teams coach, I have the advantage, in my opinion, that I'm the first guy in the first meeting of the day. So my meeting starts the day, so to speak. I know I had a bottle of water. Remember that part where I said, prepare the room? There it is. That's part of it. One of the things I do is I put a bottle of water up in front, just like this, so I know I have a place to go in moments like this where your voice gets a little bit raspy. That's all part of the whole deal. But prepare the environment so when you go in there, everything's ready to go. Let them know you're there. The next thing that our meeting room is somewhat unique, and the team talked about this, but I don't think it's necessarily just us. I think there's a lot of great coaches out there. There's a lot of good stuff going on. But one of the things about our meeting room is it's very much a free-for-all. There's a lot of talking going on. We don't encourage sitting and listening. We encourage interaction. We tell the guys, be in the meeting. Don't be at the meeting. And we're going to try to engage everybody. We encourage our veterans, and Coach Klein and I were just talking about this, we encourage our veterans to speak up in our meetings. If they got something to say, bring it. We'll have veteran players sitting next to younger players for that very reason. And we're going to listen. And sometimes a young player will get up and want to show something, and that's great. We encourage that too. But they better know what they're talking about because the older guys will move them down. They'll take care of that. But it's a really good part of the whole environment is when it's not just one guy standing up there talking. Everybody is doing it. Next. One of the things that I think is really, really important as a coach is you're setting the standards for your program. This program is a classic example, and no one's better at it than North Dakota State University. When I talk to our guys, I'm frequently talking to them about how we want to look at things. If you would do this favor for me, if you have a piece of paper, I want you to draw an arrow, just somewhat like the one I just drew there. Draw an arrow from the bottom of the page to what you think is about a third of the way up the page. Just a little exercise. So now turn the paper over and draw an arrow from the top of the page down to that same place, a third of the way up to the bottom. So we've gone from the bottom up, and we've gone from the top down to 1/3 up from the bottom of the page. This demonstration is really about this. This is called, some of you are familiar with this is called the anchoring effect. Typically, now if you measure your page later on, typically what happens with us, all of us, is we want to go to a certain point, but we don't want to go beyond that. We kind of slow down. This is about somewhere right about there. The same thing comes from correction. We'll come down. It's somewhere right about there. Very rarely do we actually get to that line or go past that line. It's human nature. Don't ask me why. I'm not licensed to tell you why. But this is a psychological effect we all have. So what I do, I try to do with the presentations in certain ways, there's times when I want to be completely accurate with what I'm telling guys. There's other times where I don't want to be accurate at all. I want to exaggerate for effect. So now, next exercise. You can figure out where your lines were later on when you measure. Then I go to the 1/3 area for either direction. You're anchored to the top, anchored from the bottom. Here's another, this happens all the time. Those of us that have moved a lot understand the real estate market a little better than others. But this is the way the market works. So you look at this house, I took this off the local realtor listings. You look at this house, and I'm asking you, is this list price for this house in the real estate listings local, is it more or less than $300,000? I'm asking you that question. And I want you to write down, what's the list price of that house? Just write down that same piece of paper, okay? Same question. The list price, is it more or less than $400,000? What is it in your mind? Is this house listed at more or less than $400,000? And what is the list price? So make a guess what the list price is. Now you understand where I'm going with this, so you may have a little bit of heads up, but invariably, we all go the opposite direction. Now both these houses actually are listed for $350,000. If you're like me, the first house, which was listed at $300,000, I never got to $350,000. The second house was listed at $400,000, I never got down to $350,000. Meaning that the question that was asked framed your answer for the next question. Now, how does that apply? This is a study that I read about recently that's kind of interesting. That even though you know it, even though you know what I just talked about, the anchoring effect, keeping you from going to the limit, going as far as you want to go, even though you know that, you have to consciously fight that. Yours test them. And they asked people to draw a short line and then answer these questions. They asked others to draw a long line and then answer these questions. And that was the result of it. What's the average temperature in Honolulu? The guys that drew a long line were much higher than the guys that drew a lower line, the students they tested. Same thing with the estimate of the length of the Mississippi. Obviously, they weren't from this part of the country, they were saying 72 miles. But the people that drew the short line were remarkably short on the distance of Mississippi. Just for simply drawing a short line, they had it in their brains that that short line would actually carry over to the next question or asked. Now, why is that important for us to coach? Well, if we're setting a wedge, and we're talking about how to block a wedge, we'll tell our guys, you set that wedge 13 yards from the ball, right in front of the football, you time up the takeoff, and you run from the inside target to the 2 or the 3, and you run to the inside number as precise as we can possibly give it. Precision is really important. Timing and leverage in kickoff return is the only way to be successful. Now, the rest of it, we have to exaggerate. You knock that guy into row 122, section 3, seat number 4. You have to get him to come out of his body and get past those precise limitations and go through that anchoring effect line that he has drawn in his brain. And you can all now think about your own coaching experiences and the things that you're trying to teach your guys to do. And I can think back at Coach Buck in the offensive line play, and I can think of guys coaching defensive back play and linebacker play, where these things are really important. Precision is important, but exaggeration is also really important. So think about how you can push that button for your players to make them think differently. I use pictures like this when they walk into my meeting room. They say things like this. So what do you think this has got to do with football? You might have any ideas? Given the base of the topic you just talked about. Anybody? Want to join in the conversation? Want to be a part of the meeting? Want to be in the meeting? You want to be at the meeting? Make it a little uncomfortable when you're sitting there and the coach is looking at you. Come on. Hey, Jones, come on. What's it telling you? What do you got? Schmeeker. You're always yakking. Schmeeker, where are you? You're always yakking outside the meeting room. You come in here and you have to set a word. What does that mean to you?
Go beyond what you think you can.
Yeah, let's go to the top. Let's be looking down. Let's have a 360-degree view of the world. We get down to this game. We're going to be looking down at everybody. So we're going to be standing on top of the mountain, looking at everybody. Sorry to slow you down there. It's great to see you, man. Congratulations on the Miller State Championship. Danny and I go back. So that's an example of what I was just talking about. Getting your players to think a little bit differently to try to take them somewhere else. I love this one, because this is where I come from, right? So if you're on the kickoff team, you get the effect, you understand what we're looking for here. I mean, this is going to be a complete storm when we get down the field. This is what I want in their minds. I want them to be thinking like this. Now, is there precision in kickoff team? Absolutely. That too, when he runs the rim, the ball's away, I want him at the 15-yard line to flatten down the field and read me off return. There's all that. But if you all know, if you're on the kickoff team, if you don't play like this, you're not going to be a very good player. That's the concept that we're trying to preach, just with the mental presentation of those things. And I also think it's really important that your material is really well prepared. John, my boss, John Harbaugh, sends his best regards. He is really a stickler on visual aids, on diagrams. My assistant and I will go through a kickoff return for a particular game, because John's experience as a special teams coach is so valuable to me and our whole team. I always run by a game plan with him after when I'm still working on it, still in the lab, and I'll show him something. My assistant does all the diagrams, so I'll get the diagram in its infant stages. I'll bring it into John and say, this is what we're thinking. He'll have already watched this. Yeah, that's really what I was thinking too. I think they're vulnerable to this or that. And then I say, geez, can we get that guy? That line needs to be moved over here. And he's actually looking at it from the framework of the player and what the diagram will mean to the player when he looks at it. He's gone beyond what we're doing into what the player's looking at. So the point is, try to make their diagrams. There's so many great tools, and I'm not a fan of any one. I just know there's a lot of different stuff that you can use that helps you do exactly that. As a football coach, you're standing in front of your room a lot. One of the things we're responsible for really is the communication in that room. I think it's really important that you, as the guy that's standing in front of the room, not only run the room, but you also handle the way the room communicates. I'm a real firm believer that the coach that's coaching and teaching the young man needs to use really clear, concise language. You need to practice. You need to go through what you're going to say. I spend the majority of my time preparing for my meetings. I'm sitting in my office, going through my slides, going through my video, and thinking about what I'm going to be saying in that meeting. Have a plan. Understand that the players that are sitting in those chairs, and for my particular meetings, I'm not able to break them up like some, but they're going to be sitting there for 45 minutes. You got to keep them involved. That's your responsibility. Practice. Practice getting better. If you're the guy, and we all have our weaknesses and strengths. I mean, I had a pause in here earlier in my talk, and you all felt it, right? What happened? I lost where I was going. That's okay. Practice. Figure out what you're doing. Have a way of going back to it. If you're the guy that goes in the meeting room and unleashes a flurry of F-bombs, trying to get the players' attention and think that's going to motivate them, and you think that that's what good coaches do, I'm here to report to you that I think that you're sadly mistaken. Now, I get as salty as the next guy. But some players are offended by it. Some players may like it because they communicate like that. But there's a certain number of players that might be just counting how many times you say that, because there's an over-under on that before you went into the meeting room. It's happened. I know for a fact it's happened. If you're the guy that's on the stand and you're using filler words like, you know, or like, you know what I mean, and it comes in every sentence, the players tune into that. And they're going to be counting that too. So what's the over-under this time? Now our guys are a little different than your guys. I mean, our guys are grown men and adults, and a lot of them, some of them are more grown than others and more adult than others. We all understand that. But sometimes their minds wander and they have to find something to focus on. And if it's the way you're presenting, then they're not hearing the message. It's just a cold, hard fact. You can get better. This is a guy that Winston Churchill is, aside from the fact that he was a great statesman, this is a guy that grew up with a stutter. I mean, a stammer. He was not a very healthy young man. He never got his first job as prime minister until he was 66 years old. And his best friends, his people that worked with him, said that he spent most of his time preparing his impromptus. Whereas he was back at his house getting ready for the next meeting where he knew what he was going to say when a certain person brought up a sentence. And it sounded like he was just making it up as he went along. It's not true. He was preparing. He was getting ready to do it. And he became one of the great orators of all time. And the guy couldn't even talk when he was in grade school. So how do you do that? How do you go from terrible to great in a matter of your lifetime? Well, you practice. It's just like anything else. You practice. Now, I practice more with my players because I have so many meetings. But what I also do is every one of our meetings is recorded. So I have the ability to go back and watch that meeting and figure out, look, that was bad. And even during the course of the meeting, I'll say, hey, Bert, how's it going so far? Am I doing okay? And I'll get feedback. Because you're with each other all the time. Just be honest with you. Boy, I screwed that one up, didn't I? Yeah. You'll be all right. And it develops a rapport in the room where they know that you're trying to do the best you can for them. And then the other thing you can do, and I do this with my assistants quite frequently, at the end of a presentation, whether it be a particular section of the presentation or at the end of the presentation, I'll call, hey, Chris, make it better. I don't think make it better, Chris. And I'll ask him to go in and fix whatever he saw that I wasn't doing right. Or one of the more senior players, I'll ask him to do things. explain it. Give me another way of saying it. It's a really good way to get guys involved in your meeting, but it also, which is really important, is you're the guy standing up there, it also helps you. This guy is a guy I got exposed to when I was coaching in Michigan those many years. I lived in the state of Michigan, coaching in college for 11 years. And Bo Schembecker was coaching in Michigan. The very first college clinic, much like this, very first college clinic I went to was at the Grand Rapids Amway Grand Hotel, and Coach Bo Schembecker was the instructor, the teacher, the guest speaker in the old champion clinics. Well, Bo stands in front of the room, takes off his jacket. He's got a white button-down collared shirt on, and in his pocket was his ink pen. And his ink pen had unloaded on his shirt, and he had a big blue spot on his chest from that pen. And he just like I did, took his jacket off, and stand in front of the guys, and you think, okay, oh man, let's see what he said. So what he said, oh no, Millie's gonna kill him. It's his wife. And it just, the place just erupted in laughter. And I said, God, this guy's amazing. You know, he handles that situation with such grace. He never got upset. He just thought about his wife. Millie's gonna kill him. Well, this guy, and so those of you that have seen this guy over the years, and we all have rivalries and so forth. I have no reason to be on this guy's side. I'm a little more green than I am blue in that state. But the point is, this guy, I swear that he studied Winston Churchill. The cadence of his voice, if you've ever heard him talk, you'll know that his voice was pronounced, and he would put emphasis on the end of the certain words that would get you to that point at the end of the sentence where you knew exactly what he was talking about. And I think about all the times I've heard him coach in spring practice or bowl game practice, right? Even the summertime, he was talking to little kids in summer camp, and he grabbed my attention. When he started talking, I admired him for not only what he coached, but how he communicated with his players. And this guy, whatever opinion you might have of him, we all think of Bo and Woody, and I don't know Bo at all. I never met the man, but we know that the Big Ten battle of Ohio State and Michigan started with those 10-year war. I've never read that book, it's awesome. But it started with those two guys who were close before that 10-year war started. But they raised up Midwestern football, Ohio and Michigan, and it permeated out from them of the tough, rough, run the ball, nasty, hard-nosed football that we all know and we're all fighting to keep. These guys are part of that. So there's nobody that was more real style North Dakota State football than this guy. Having said that, he had a heart of gold, and he was funny. I mean, he was funny. When he was in practice, he was coaching everybody. Now, I'll give you an example. Leroy Horn. How many of you remember Leroy Horn? Played for the Cleveland Browns, great big running back. 6'2", 235 pounds, tailback at the University of Michigan. Spring practice. Terrell Burt was the running back coach. I'm watching their spring practice. And they run an inside zone play. And Leroy thinks that maybe I can get outside of this one. So he bounces the ball outside. He gets tackled for a 5-yard loss, and Bo is watching the play, and he turns, and he looks at Terrell and he says, Terrell, do we have a championship drill today in individual period? And the place erupted. So he's making his points and coaching everybody in the field through his assistants. Now, Alex does that with me once in a while, and it really irritates me, but it's really effective in the same way. You know, he was coaching Leroy and everybody else in that football field how we want to play football. It wasn't played that way, and it's a funny, genuine, personality-based way of coaching football. And it's fun. It is really fun. When I was in one of the colleges, we had a visit from a spring clinic like this. We had a visit from Coach Fritz Sherman. If you remember that name, Fritz Sherman, he was at the time, he was the defensive defensive coordinator at the Green Bay Packers, and he came in and spoke at our clinic, and Reggie White was playing for him at the time. One of the things that stands out in his presentation to us as coaches was, my job as defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers is to make sure that Reggie White is happy. Because when Reggie White is happy, we are really good. And I firmly believe in this expression. There's nobody who likes good players better than good coaches. Good coaches know who their good players are. And they do everything they can to make sure that those good players are playing good. And Fritz Shermer had that in his mind. So on a daily basis, Fritz would do something funny or game-like or entertaining to keep Reggie White laughing. Because when Reggie White was laughing, he was having fun, their defense was a lot better. There was a great lesson. There was a great lesson. We're all coaching football. We are really serious about our jobs. Look at us. It's the off season. We're all sitting in the clinic talking about how to become better coaches, right? That's what we're doing. So we're all really serious about this game. One of the things I think that will make our game better is as much seriousness as we can all bring to the table in our game is we, much like Fritz Shermer, and much like Bo Schembechler, we can make our game fun in the same process. Now, you think about how you can do that with your players. I don't know how to tell you to do that, but I encourage you to use your personality to get that done. Use the players' personalities to get that done. Let your light shine a little bit. Let yourself be vulnerable to your players. Let them make fun of you. Be careful not to make too much fun of them. One of my pet peeves is coaches that give demeaning nicknames to players in the guise of it's funny, like Shorty, or you can think of something, right? Things like that. The problem with those kind of things, even though they're not ill intended, the problem with things like that is it creates labels for certain players. Then automatically everybody looks at that guy because he's 5'8" instead of 6 foot. He's playing DB, and then there's a ball caught over the top of his head, and then they automatically say, that's Shorty. Well, you know, Shorty almost made that play. If we got a better read on the ball, he probably would have made that play for you. But everybody's now labeling that guy because of your pet nickname for him. I encourage you not to do that. Now, players are going to be players. We don't understand that. But you're putting a label on some players, not a really good method of having fun. But my point is this. Find a way. Find a way to make your job more enjoyable. Find a way to make their experience as football players more enjoyable. Do you have any youth coaches in the room? Anybody's coaching youth football? You have a couple guys. Double time for your guys. You are protecting our game. Let's build as many players into our game as we possibly can. The only way they're going to do that is to have fun. And I know you all know I'm telling this, preaching to the choir, I understand it. But your job as a youth football coach should be determined by the retention rate, not the one loss rate. How many kids are coming out for football next year because they had so much fun playing last year? Now, there's a lesson there for all of us, too. You know, we all have different degrees of performance that we need to live up to, or we're not coaching anymore. I understand that. I think it's important to keep that in mind. Jake almost lost the mic. Saved it. All right. Where are we going next? Our strength coach, I know we've had presentations already here, and I think North Dakota State probably does a good job in ways in the country that don't have facts, but I just have a great feeling about that. I want to relay an experience that I had this last year. We have a strength coach, but he's very unique. Right? And I understand titles aren't really that important sometimes, but I think this particular situation, this title is important. He's called our performance coach. I think it's kind of interesting to think about that term, performance. His job, he's not a weight coach. He's not a strength and conditioning coach. He's a performance coach. I had a frightening conversation at the combine with a friend of mine who's a trainer for one of the NFL clubs. And it it was a personal conversation about our families, his families. And I asked him this question. He was talking about the combine physicals, because that's obviously that's why the trainers go to the combine. And I asked him this question. I said, what percentage of college football players, when they leave the program, whether they move on to the NFL at some point, or they graduate and go become teachers or salesmen or whatever they do, when they leave the program, what percentage of college football players leave the program with labrum damage, or shoulder damage? Because we were talking about that specific injury. And he talked about the different ways that it happens and so forth. And he says, a remarkable, staggering number. Just let me put it that way. A staggering number. I said, wow. Then I asked him this question. I said, what percentage of those injuries do you think happen off the football field in training, whether it be strength training or some other kind of training? And he told me there's been studies on it. And again, I don't want to go pin numbers down. The number he told me was, you kidding me? It's ridiculous. And so here I am, a father of 3. I have 2 daughters and a son, and you all have children, right? You're athletes and we're playing. What's more important to us than the health of our children? What's more important to us? I know for me personally, there's nothing more important to me than the health of my family, the well-being of my family. Well, these players that we're dealing with in the weight room, they deserve the best possible training we can possibly give them in a safe manner. And Coach, I didn't listen to the previous speaker regarding strength or not, but I know we're doing that here. But that has got to be a priority for us all. I know there's a lot of concussion stuff going on out there. We get all that. We're trying to make this game safer for everybody. Our performance coach gave a talk to our players last year at this time that just struck me right between the eyes. And I said, how could I coach this game for this many years and not know that? How could I do that? I had no idea how you can train guys for football that is so much better and so much safer than I've ever seen. And I'm bragging about our guy, but I'm encouraging you to research that method. And if you think that wide grip bench press is the best way to become a football player, I encourage you to do some research and find out other alternative methods that might be more safe and just as effective. And we're just as bad in the NFL. We still do the bench press things for reasons that I can't figure out, but I'm not in charge. But we all want to get strong. We want to become great football players. And sure, the bench press, and I'm just using that as an example. That's important. But just from my perspective, there's ways of doing this. And I'm now seeing the world is a whole new world for me. So I'm sure it was probably already talked about by an expert, not by me. But that's an example where I'm talking about staying current. That's exactly what I mean. Straightforward, stay current. The next thing I want to encourage you to do is when you're talking to your guys is make the message simple. You probably heard the expression, the simple is not easy, right? You've heard that? Simple is not easy. It is really difficult to be simple. It's easy to be easy. You need to make it easy, but it's probably not any good. It's hard to make things simple and effective at the same time. One of my favorite stories, Mark Twain was on a tour. As you know, he probably toured the country on a train all over the place. But he had a contract to write for a New York magazine of some sort. And he used to send his manuscripts back to the publisher when he was on the road. And so in one particular instance, he sent this package of manuscripts back for the next edition he was doing. And in it, he put this note. Think about this. He put this note in there. It says, "I'm sorry it's so long, I ran out of time." Sorry it's so long, I ran out of time. That's the art. Trying to figure out how to make the message simple, even though the concept is not so simple. 767 is a lot easier to fly than the B-17. It does a lot more things. It does a lot well. It's a lot safer. It's a lot faster. It's a lot bigger, but it's a lot easier to fly because it's been refined. It's been made that way. And I think that's important for us to keep in mind as we're giving our messages to our guys. So let's talk. Let's have another exercise here. The psychological aspect of coaching is kind of an interesting thing, but I want to have a little exercise to begin to have a little fun in this. The aspect of teaching. Okay, probably didn't take you long when you saw this picture. Something came in your mind. Okay, what snapped in your mind? Please help me. No comment. The end of the football season, right? Okay, what's the stereotype? What are you thinking about? Anybody?
Bad, disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed, upset, yeah. Who is this lady in your mind? Who is she? Crappy high school teacher, a librarian maybe. Yeah, that's we all, it's immediately stabbed in our minds. We've all seen people like this in our lives. So, what just happened there is something, when you first saw that picture, that picture snapped in your mind who this person is. You made a mental judgment just like that. There's in current psychology, and I'm not an expert, I'm giving you the Reader's Digest pared down version from a football coach, not from a psychologist. But there's recent psychologists that say there's two modes that are thinking that's going on in our brains right now. We as coaches have to kind of think about what our players are looking at and what they're processing. That concept where your mind quickly, intuitively, effortlessly, just jump to the conclusion, this is a crappy teacher, I know this baby is, this is Mrs. Smith, who used to be a librarian in my elementary school. Bang, so your brain just jumped to that conclusion immediately. We all have that experience. Okay? Now, next exercise. Name the last 5 Super Bowl champions. Okay, think of it. Last 5 Super Bowl champions. Take your pen and paper. Last 5 Super Bowl. Okay, time's up. What'd you have to do? What do we all have to do? I made the slide and I had to just think about it. You had to slow down, didn't you? You had to slow down and think, okay, who was it? Yeah, Carson Wentz's team. Yeah, Belichick. That's right. Denver won it. Cougs last year. Well, New England won it. Yeah, I put that down at the bottom just my own personal gratification. But the point is that that's a much different process than you just went through mentally on the angry librarian. That was a slow, orderly, effortful. If we had heart rate monitors on us, physically, our heart rate goes up, our body temperature goes up because we're summoning energy to think. That's system 2. That's the other system of our brains that is working. So it's 2 different kinds of thinking. Now, what's that got to do with us? Okay. Another exercise. Bat and ball costs $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Okay, got it? Well, actually, it's 5 cents. If you're like me, you got this question. I immediately go tell. You can ask yourself, did I get it right in my brain? Well, what happened right there is your system 1, your fast thinking side, took over. I got this back. Answer the question as fast as you could. Well, you're wrong because you didn't put enough effort into it. Like our analytics guy, the guy that graduated from Harvard, he got it right away. But I'm not sure if it was just because he knew that I was messing with him and he had it all figured out beforehand, or he actually did the math. But I got this wrong. So the point I'm making is there's times when the fast brain is really what we want, but we have to use some of the slow, system 2 as well. My belief is that as football coaches, we're trying to get players to be effortlessly thinking. What we're trying to get to is a way where they can think about things but not use a lot of effort. We don't want them straining. We want them to be free-flowing, We want them to play with a smile on their face. We want them, because if they're all bound up and they're using energy to think about things, they're not playing as fast. You understand that, you're coaches, you get that. So we're trying to find a way where we can get in between there, into the space between system 1 and system 2. And my firm belief is that as coaches, we have to be able to find that place through all of the drills that we do, the coaching we do. Just think about that. So I want to, hey, here's another quick exercise in the same method. How we doing? Are we having fun? How's this meeting? How's it? We doing okay? Chris, is it a little okay? We're doing it. Make it better. How can I do better? Give me something.
Each week you're involved.
Good idea. Mike and Peggy. Okay? So, what I'm about to show you from this video that's coming up here in a minute. Always have your video ready. What I want you to do with this exercise is there's going to be people in white and there's people in black shirts. I want you to count the number of passes with all the people wearing white shirts. So the white shirt team, you're going to count the number of passes for the people in the white shirt team, okay? You ready? Hopefully our video works, Jay. Now you got the rest of them. Count the number of passes, white shirt. Okay, how many?
16.
16, exactly right. How many of you saw the gorilla? That's great. Now, if you didn't see the gorilla, you're with half of the people that first saw this that didn't see the gorilla. It's called the invisible gorilla. And I was already talking to you about the effect of System 1, System 2, and the idea of focus and all that. So you're kind of already tuned into that. But still, there's some people in this room that didn't see the gorilla, right? How many of you saw the curtain color change? How many of you saw the fact that one of the black shirt girls left the screen? You're really good. So the point is, I used to coach the secondary, and I can hear myself now way back in the day when there used to be a post route run over the top, and I say my free safety in deep third, I said, how could you not see that? Well, how could he not see that? He might have been actually blind to the gorilla. He was watching something else so intently that he didn't see this. So we as football coaches, we have to find a way of being able to count to 16, but at the same time be able to see the gorilla. We've got to find that place where our players are seeing enough, effortlessly seeing enough, where their minds are flowing like a river. Just thinking, being able to think and see things. It's a hard place to get to, but it's a fun exercise to try to get there. So, how much should you focus? At what should you focus? How do I do that? That's our job as coaches. Find that way of being concentrated efforts. So that's kind of a little bit of the science behind it. Let's talk about the art of coaching. I had the great pleasure of coaching this day. Some of you may remember Jacoby Jones. The story behind Jacoby, the reason I'm using his as my example is because he's a really interesting case. Because he's such an interesting guy. He came to the Ravens in 2012 after being cut from the Houston Texans in 2011 because he dropped the punt in the playoff game against the Ravens that very year. They cut him. We picked him up in 2012. And those of you that remember that year for our particular club, huge on our playoff run. We scored a touchdown and kickoff return in the Super Bowl, and had another touchdown catch at the end of the half. It was a huge play for us. And then the following year, he kind of became a celebrity. He went on Dancing with the Stars because he's so full of life, so full of personality. And we got the turkey and the Thanksgiving Day game and all that. But the reason I bring him to you as an example is this guy, and Jacoby Jones and me have zero in common. He is from New Orleans, Louisiana, and grew up in the Bayou, and he speaks Jacoby. I speak Minnesotan, and we couldn't be from more opposite places in the world. I love this guy, and I can confidently stand up before you and say that he loves me too, because we call him all the time. And his family, his mom, his baby, I mean, great people, great people. But coaching this guy was different, perhaps, than anybody I've ever coached, because he was all over the place. Now, I don't need to give you all the different stories. We all got guys. But what I am saying is we as coaches have to adjust our methods to the players. Now, the players have to adjust us, too. But there was all kinds of things that we did in practice with this guy that were unique, that were different, that it paid off. And so, like I was talking about Reggie White, figure out a way to make your schemes, your coaching methods, work for your players.
John
Pardon?
Russ, that was
John Crocker. John, I just saw you. I just walked into the weight room the other day and saw you. He looks great.
That was John Crocker. Just as you explained, everything had to be adjusted.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way, right? That's the art of the whole thing. I mean, anybody can put a diagram down on paper when we're running 36 power. You got that guy, you got that guy. We're in a double team, find the best. That's easy. Now, figuring out how to do it with human beings, and getting the ball going the right direction, and running that play and third down and goal from the 6-yard line, that's art. That is amazing. And thank you for interjecting that. I encourage you all to do that. That's John Crock. Let me tell John. Let me remind you of Jacoby. He'll take that as a compliment. All right, so next, football is really, as you all know, football is a preparation game. Our jobs during the course of the week, from after the game till the next game, is a full week typically. And a lot of the work that we do is getting ready for that game. We're not like basketball or hockey where you're playing a game back to back and so forth. We all get that. So what we ask our players to do in memorizing plays and reading 11 on 11 defense and offense is so much more tasking to the player than what those other sports are doing. It's not individual, it's not like tennis. It's unique. Our game has the biggest rule book in sports, and it's 11 on 11, and there's offense, defense. It's so vast. So most of our energies and efforts are taken up with preparation. So with that in mind, the way that we approach our players during the course of the week and how we teach is really vital. We all kind of understand that there's different kinds of learners, right? There's visual learners, there's auditory learners, and there's guys that have to, kinesthetic learners, guys that actually have to move and do things to figure it out. And we all interview these guys at the combine and different places. What's your best kind of learning? Well, I'm a visual, and all that stuff. But I don't think we all know how to learn, because it's much more complicated than that. But my point is this: when we design our practices, we should be thinking about ways of making our learning experience more effective. Our meeting room, we talked about that already. The auditory stuff that we're doing, that's already been dealt with. Okay, the diagrams, we talked about that. Making that more accurate and things that they're looking at, the visual part. Now the rest of it, the movement kind of learning, this is where it's going. And Coach, you were just talking about the walkthroughs and how you're going to design practice and so forth. And I don't know what your all rules are and how you can do things and how much time you have. I know high school coaching is different because you don't have them all day, they're in class, I get all that. But I want to present you a couple of different ideas on what I think are ways of getting that movement learning better. Walkthrough is a dirty name in our building. We don't have walkthrough. Even though the NFL calls them walkthroughs for the sake of saying that you can't run, and you have no pads, and there's no helmets, and that you can be on the field. You know, all of our work rules are come from the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. But our walkthroughs have a cute little acronym which really tell our guys what we want them to do, to be focused on the line of assignment, communication, and technique. So the hardest coaching that we do, I shouldn't say the hardest coaching, the most difficult task that we have as coaches is coaching that period. Because John especially is really a stickler about guys, when we're doing walkthroughs, of being in exactly the right stance, of taking exactly the right steps and exaggerating, putting the hands in exactly the right place, and catching the ball and finishing in the right spot. And that is hard to do when you're not going fast. And as you know, we all have a little attention deficit problems. We're all gym rats. We want to be doing something. And trying to keep everybody involved in that and making it the right way is really a challenge sometimes. But it's really important to do that, I believe. So when you're looking at your own things, you know, how can I make that better? Make them do it right. The other thing I can say too is make sure that they have a clear vision in their mind what it looks like. Now, how do you do that? Well, you show it to them. So here's a question. You can think about your own team. Think about your kickoff. Okay? I want you to think about your kickoff team that you put out there last year. Some of the special things. Think about your kickoff. Okay, on that kickoff team, who's the fastest guy downfield in your kickoff? Did you think about that guy? You got a number, you got a name in your mind? Who's the fastest guy downfield on your kickoff? Okay, the next question is this.